Hey there and welcome. My name is Allison Mancini and I am your holistic nutritionist.
And I am Julietta, the magical PT. Welcome to our Voices of the Goddess podcast. Here on our podcast, we interview other women to give each other supporting information and help lift each other up, because there's a goddess inside each and every one of you. And with the right tools, we can all come together and be the best goddesses that we are meant to be. Today, I would like to welcome Olympia to our show. We're so excited to have you here today. Can you please introduce yourself to our audience? Tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hi, it's very just wonderful to be with you and your audience today. I am Olympia LePoint. I am the author of the educational book series Answers Unleashed, seen on answersunleashed.com. I am an award-winning rocket scientist and I helped launch 28 space shuttle missions into space. But my role of getting to that point was very tough and I had to make really tough decisions, but those decisions landed success. And so today I'm here to tell your audience about the 6 decisions to help people uncover the future that they have waiting for them.
I love it.
So awesome. It's not every day you get to interview a rocket scientist.
I know. I'm thinking this is so amazing. We are so blessed. Awesome.
Thank you. It's my honor to be with you. And it's my honor to share what I've learned, because I've learned a lot along the way. And I really am passionate about helping other women understand the power that they have, which is their decision-making power. It is literally a power that women have. And when they learn how their free will can literally navigate them and guide them towards their best future, that is when we all succeed. And that's when we create innovation for the world. And so I'm just really happy to be here.
Yay. So we're going to dive into the 4 questions. The first one is, what is your superpower, Olympia?
My superpower is being able to make tough decisions. Everybody has their own gift. Everyone has their own gifts. And I truly believe that making decisions is a full opportunity to unleash your power. And let me describe it from my own experience. I grew up in South Los Angeles, and it was very rough. And it was during the 1980s when the crack cocaine epidemic was at its highest. There was drugs on every corner. It was prostitutes everywhere. And I was like a 9-year-old child just witnessing all this. And in my TED Talk, Reprogramming Your Brain to Overcome Fear, I talk about how I saw this right on the outside of my bedroom window. And it was at a very early age where I realized I had several different futures in front of me. I could go towards the future in which was going to be a high school dropout. I could have gone into the future in which was organized crime, which was the gangs in the area. Or I could have gone and become a rocket scientist. Now, you're like, why is rocket scientist? It was because I went to a field trip when I was 6 years old. And there I saw rockets and I told myself I wanted to be just like these men in the pictures on the wall that were launching rockets. And I didn't know how challenging it was going to be as a woman and a woman of color to be able to do that. But because of the fact that I was able to see into the future and pick the future I wanted to go towards, that gave me the ability to make up my mind. And I'm a firm believer that when we make up our mind, when we decide what we're going to do, and we actually commit to creating that future, no matter what we have to go through, no matter what type of challenges that we have to face, that's when we unleash our power. And that's when we can see the opportunities that are in front of us. And we can say no to the things that don't suit us, and we can say yes to the things that are designed for our life purpose. So I truly believe that it's not just me with the superpower. It is every single person with the ability to make decisions, every single person who is able to dream of where they want to go, and every single person who wants to better their situation. We each have that superpower, and I'm deciding just to give it to you and share it with the world in my latest book, Answers Unleashed 2, The Science of Attracting What You Want.
Can you just be in my bathroom when I wake up every morning and tell that to me again? I mean, oh my gosh, so powerful, so incredible.
Thank you.
I mean, just yes. You are absolutely right. It is amazing. That was awesome.
all of us have that power, but so often, especially women,
Mm-hmm.
so often we think someone else is right.
Yep.
Someone else's pathway of where we think we should go is what's accurate. We think, oh, maybe I shouldn't speak up because there's some man that knows exactly what's to do, and I'm a follower. No. Women are creative. Women can see the future better than anybody else, actually. It's because we have this systems thinking approach. And let me describe what that is. A systems thinking approach is not only looking at things in a linear fashion, which is like point A to point B, but it's looking at how everything interacts with one another in a situation. Like, for example, moms do this the best. I mean, just example, when moms are in the situation where they have to take care of multiple kids at the same time, each person has their own personality, and you have to figure out, what do I have to do in order to have my kids actually do what it is that they need to do by the end of the day with their personalities. And that's a systems thinking approach that women take. But that systems thinking approach also translates itself into the corporate world. We have the ability to be able to see the big picture and then see where it's going to go in the next day, in the next week, and the next year. And it's a natural ability that we each have. But so often women are not shown to how to appreciate this natural systems thinking ability, which is, I call, a superpower.
Absolutely. Awesome. And you explained it so well. Thank you.
Awesome.
All right. We got to get going so we can get through all the questions. The next question, which will be really interesting because you are an author, and so there's your books, but what other book out there has played a great role in inspiring you?
Oh my God, there's so many books.
We talk about this all the time. It's hard to pick one, but
okay. I'm of course, you have to be your best promoter. I'm going to say my books, and I'm going to point them to here. You can take a look, but I'm also going to tell you the books I also like that I didn't write. The latest book is Answers Unleashed 2, The Science of Unleashing Your Brain's Power. And Answers Unleashed 1, you don't have to order the series. You can pick up one independently and see it. This book is Answers Unleashed, the Science. This book is Answers Unleashed 2, The Science of Attracting What You Want. And this is Answers Unleashed, The Science of Unleashing Your Brain's Power. And this book, do I have it back there? Oh, no, it's this one. This is the one that kids love. Mathophobia, How You Can Overcome Your Math Fears and Become a Rocket Scientist.
Okay. Where were you when my kids were little? They both struggle with math. Like, I need to get that for them now, I guess. They're older now.
It's like, and so a person that was really inspirational for me were two authors, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It is a way to be able to train your mind to not look at what you don't have, but look at what is your potential. And I really enjoy his work. He's, of course, since passed on, but his work is really profound. And you can see it in the different levels of my own writing. And Wayne Dyer, Excuses Be Gone, is a book that I love. And he's also passed away. I loved how he understood that the limiting factors that we create are the ones that are in our head, which are the excuses. And my first book, Mathophobia, deals with the excuses that we make when we're scared of math. And I talk about how we become Quincy the quitter, we become Donna the overdoer, we become Samuel the struggler, and then we become Crystal the criticizer when we're scared to solve a math problem. But that same personality turns into an excuse when we become an adult. And it's these same personalities that exude themselves when we have to solve a real life problem. So if we can get in the minds of especially young people early on for realizing when they're having this mind frame of like, oh, I'm scared to solve a math problem, it then translates itself into their adult thinking when they're in the corporate world or when they're in college, like, oh, I'm being Quincy the quitter. I'm scared to start studying, or like, oh, I'm scared to go into this new job position. And when we can identify that excuse that we have, we can start immediately reprogramming our mind so we then can become the person who we are designed to be.
Again, I know, like, I love that. So, but I can relate to that personally because I've been, and Olympia doesn't know me. This is the first time we've met, but, you know, I turned 50 in January and I completely changed my course in life over the last year. And I'm doing things that I never would have done before, this podcast being one of them. Juliet and I completely stepped out on a limb on this. And I'm also completely changed. I went back and got certified as a holistic nutritionist. I'm working on an online course program. So all of these, and I can relate to that. Sorry, the puppy's got his chew toy right now. If you can hear the squeaking in the background. I don't have kids at home anymore. I have a puppy.
He's excited for your transformation. He's like going, no, with this toy.
Right? But it's so true because I catch myself so many times like not doing what I need to do because I'm having that fear come in, or I'm doubting myself, or any of those things. So I appreciate that we need to teach our young children and young adults exactly what you're just describing.
It's a superpower, being able to know you have a choice and then make the best decision. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Next question is, because this is so important for women, like we really, really need to do a lot more self-care. We so often just put everybody in front of us and take care of everybody else's needs before our own. So we need to do self-care. So Olympia, what is your favorite self-care practice?
Physical therapy. And the reason why I say that is that I went through 2 major surgeries, and most women, when they go through having children, go through cesarean sections or times in which they literally have to regain their muscular structure in their abdominal wall and their pelvic floor. And I didn't have children, but I had a myomectomy in 2010, and then I had a hysterectomy just 2 years ago, and it was so tough. It was one of the hysterectomy was one of the toughest physical experiences I've ever had to go through. And what I learned is that there's 2 types of therapies that really work well for me. And the one type of therapy is pelvic floor therapy, and that's for women, and that's for specifically women that need to engage their pelvic floor muscles and things like that. And for me, what has brought me the greatest joy is when I take care of my health. Take care of how my muscles are moving in my body. Take care of how I think in regards to my movement. And I have been, since the age of 6, I have been dancing. I am a dancer, and that's just who before I'm a scientist, I'm a dancer. And so what I love doing, that self-care, is going to the physical therapy, making sure all of my muscles fire the way they're supposed to, and I can dance for 2 hours. 2 hours straight, salsa, you get modern jazz. It is that ability to move. And when I take care of my health so I can move, I feel free. And so that's just something that I do personally, but everyone's different. Some people self-care by going to school, getting their degree. Some people self-care by investing in their own business, and which I do as well. Everyone has their own self-care, but the main thing is to know that you have to invest in yourself. And when you invest in yourself, that is the caring for your life so you can move forward. And everyone has their own type of situations. And for me, it's being able to move freely. And that's what I really appreciate.
As the physical therapist sitting here, I love that answer. And and I talk about this all the time with my clients that come in, because like I don't take insurance. So everybody who comes to see me is self-pay. And I get so frustrated when people are like, oh, I don't know if I can, if I can spend that money on that. And it's like, it's an investment in yourself and your well-being. And, people think nothing of spending $5 or more every single day going to Starbucks to get horrible coffee. Sorry, Starbucks. But I like, think about investing in you and your health so that you can be there to accomplish all these things that you want to accomplish. So as the PT sitting here, I so applaud you for PT being your self-care. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Well, I've just, it's so, when I went through my surgeries and I couldn't have children, I was like at first sad, but then I realized my books are my kids. Each one, and I'll have tons of kids. I'll have tons of books. And when I create these things, I'm getting a chance to be able to teach younger people as well as people my age and even my senior about how to think. And that's for me. So when I go to the physical therapy, I'm reminded like I gave birth to books.
Yeah. And that's part of the feminine power is creating. And, so yeah, they always look at it as like, we create children, but everything we create are our children's, so your books, my business, like this podcast is now Allison and my child, so we give birth to so many things as women, not just children. So yeah, absolutely. Cool. So you accomplish so much stuff in your life. And to do that, you need accountability. And so that's one of the questions that many of our listeners have is, how do you create accountability in your life?
I create contracts for myself. This may sound odd, but you expect someone else to sign a contract indicating what you're going to do. At the beginning of the year, I create a contract for myself. It's what I'm going to accomplish that year, and I committed to doing it. And it's like there's no if, ands, or buts. I'm committing this. I'm committing right before 2021 started. Everyone went through a horrible pandemic. All of us have been traumatized to some degree or another because it's a national and international just tragedy with the deaths that's happened, and all of us were very just distraught. Just seeing the deaths and seeing all the mayhem, because this world is not a perfect place. It's very tough to live here, but we each have the ability to contribute something very powerful while we're alive. And I remember at the beginning of 2021, I said, what can I do to spread light in this world? What are the tangible ways in which I can do that with what my skills are? And my skills are science. My skills are explaining really tough stuff in easy ways to understand. And you see this when I'm on news programs like CBS or PBS or ABC News. It's like I have the ability to explain really tough stuff, and I have the ability to help people embrace science and embrace new ways of thinking. So I thought, well, what can I do this year to fulfill my life calling? And one of the things was I was going to complete my book. And one of the things was I was going to secure publicity so I could talk about the science and talk about new ways of looking at things. And at first, the book was at beginning of 2021, the book was not completed. It was still had to go through the editing process. And if anyone has written a book, you know what I'm talking about. It's a process to write a book. It is like, labor. So what happened is that it takes a lot of work, and it wasn't completed. I didn't even have the publicity team and I didn't have key people lined up. And so what I decided to do is make that contract with myself. I said, I'm going to get my book completed by February, in which it was. And then it later on went on the market on March 18th. I said, I'm going to secure publicity. It took me a good 2 months to find my team. I have Icon PR, which is a celebrity publicity team. I'm very thankful for their work because they're a group of women who seriously work with other women to get them out there, and specifically with science. So I'm really thankful for that group. And I decided I was going to do things. And so I write on Thrive Global. Ariana Huffington asked me to write on Thrive Global last year during the pandemic. And so I decided I'm going to write articles and share information about this new way of thinking, this deciding making process. I call it a quantum deciding, being able to make new decisions, but being able to jump through time to do it. And it's like a new decision-making science. That's the best way for me to put it. And I made this commitment with myself. No matter what type of discouragement I'd face, no matter what type of issues I'd come encounter with, and I did come across so many issues, and the year's not done. I'm sure I'll come across many more, but I am committed to completing what it is I said I was going to do. And I truly believe that if I'm able to commit to myself, it's easier to attract other people who are able to do the same.
Absolutely. I love, like, we all have goals, and some of us write them down, some of them, they just exist in our head, but to actually put them at, like, this is my contract with myself. Like, I love it, just like bumps it up to a new level of commitment. So that's a great way.
Thank you, Juliet. And not to cut you off here, but I was so excited to be able to share just piggyback on what you're saying. I have a book. It's like an orange book, and I've had it for the last 20 years. Anytime I create a contract on myself, it goes in that book. I create a specific book for my contracts. It's not in any other book. It's in that book. So anytime I said I'm going to do something, I go back to it. And I look back on what I put down there 20 years ago. It's there. I got it done. And it is that continuous commitment to yourself, commitment to your life purpose. And therefore, it's easier to be able to see when people are not committed to the same thing. And you're able to just say, it was great while it lasted, but we're on a different track now.
Yeah. And I'm curious, I don't know, like, if you had a reason for choosing orange, but I love that you said this book is orange, because orange is the color of creation. It's the sacral chakra, which is the creation chakra. So creativity, creation. I don't know if you had any conscious decision in that, but interesting that look at how the universe works. I love it.
Intuition is really powerful.
Awesome. Well, it is time to get to our takeaway portion of the show. Allison, are you ready to share your takeaway with us?
I am. I definitely need to get some of Olympia's books, especially the math one, because even though my children are older now, I still feel like there's such, like, for kids and adults, because that's me, that have a fear because they look at it as it's difficult. I think that I will gain a lot from reading your book and getting some guidance about that, and to look at it in a different way. And, you said in the very beginning of our interview, it's so much about what you put out there, right? It's so much about what you put out there. If you're confident and and you put out the right things, you'll get the right things back. But when you put out fear and I don't think I can do it and all this stuff, that's kind of what happens, right? So I am really excited to get Olympia's book and check it out myself.
Awesome. My takeaway from today, and it's interesting because, like, synchronicity, everything, I always say, like, when I see something, I hear it. When I see it a second time, I pay attention. And when I hear it a third time, like, yeah, this is the universe telling me this is important. So the message that keeps coming up right now is I decide. So whatever it is that I want to create, that I want to manifest, I decide it. And so it's up to me. So I'm going to be out there deciding what I want and how I'm going to get it. Yeah. What's your takeaway today, Olympia?
Well, my takeaway is just the amazement of brilliant women like yourself. That sounds really simple, but I just admire what you're doing, and starting a new podcast at 50 and changing your life and creating your business and branding it and growing it. And I just truly honor women and appreciate them. And it reminds me that my takeaway is I always can create and be a success.
Absolutely. It's never too late. The moment's always now. Let's make it happen. So cool.
And thankfully for going through what we went through in this last year, because I think a lot of, if I hadn't been through everything we've all been through as a whole, I don't know that I would have made some of these changes. And I wouldn't, like, just sitting here with Olympia, I would have never met Olympia if we hadn't, like, said, okay, we can do this. We got this. You know what I mean? Like, let's do this for other women. Because that was our whole thing for it. We wanted to do this to promote women that we know, because there are so many amazing things that you're doing, Olympia, that the other women we've interviewed are doing. So yeah, it's really just about getting all this great energy out there, really.
Yay. So I want to thank you, Olympia, for joining us today. This was like a really super deep, amazing, meaningful show. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And thank you to our viewers. If you've enjoyed what you've listened to today, we will have in the show notes all the links, how to get Olympia's books, how to find her, how to access all this information. And please, if you're liking what you're hearing, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our podcast, and share it with other women, because the only way we can lift each other up is by looking out for each other and sharing with each other. So please go out there and share this podcast. And thank you again for being here. Have a magical day, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thank you.